Okay, so sometimes working with WordPress can be a little bit disconcerting. It can be a little bit scary because, there's just everything kind of everywhere. So, the couple of things that I do when I'm working with sites in WordPress to help myself or to get some support is this. One, I'll always Google search whatever my question is. There's a ton of support out there from the wider WordPress community that really has a lot of answers for you in that regard. There's also a ton of tutorial videos on YouTube, just like this one, and it won't be your actual website, but usually it'll be the same steps that you would need to follow. So like if you're gonna say, how do I change it to military time for a blog post? You can type WordPress military time and see what information you can get, whether by video or through the wider web community websites, web pages, whatever. So this website is actually using the 7 theme. The 7 theme is one that I purchased for you guys that I then customize and added to your site and added all your content to and set up to the best of my ability. So sometimes though, there are things you want to do that you just need help with figuring out how to do it. And the people who built the 7 actually made all these really cool guides for us. So I will be sending you this user guide, and there are 2 different HTML files. You want to keep this assets with it because these are like the images and stuff that are a part of the user guide. So always keep everything in the user guide folder. Don't rename it and don't reorganize it. But you have the quick start guide that shows you some basic stuff, and I think this is going to open up in the wrong browser, but either way. So this is the basic guide on how to do different things in here. We can also go to the extended user guide, and the extended user guide has a ton more options. Now, right now, the support for the 7 has expired because it only lasts for 6 months. So if you ever go to themeforest.net, you can search for the 7, and let's see, the 7. And you want the WordPress, responsive multi-purpose WordPress theme. Okay, so this one, it says regular license, 6 months author support. So this is where you can do the renew the support for another 6 months for $40. So this is where you can keep renewing it as much as you need, or maybe for the first 6 months. But you should be okay with the tutorial videos that I've given you and with this user guide and the wider WordPress community. And you can always email me if you ever need help, like you're trying to do something specific, and I can do a quick tutorial video just like this one. So the one thing that you want to do is always make sure it's backing up. So if I go to plugins, I can go to my installed plugins, and this will it'll back up weekly, so it should be fine. But just to be careful in case you're going to come in here and like change a lot of stuff. And I'm not talking about, creating a new WordPress blog post, but if you're like going to actually move things around, add pages, update plugins, whatever you end up doing, before you do any of that, go into this Updraft Plus plugin, go to settings, and make sure that you click on the backup now button. So it'll tell you the last time it ran a backup, and then you can also click backup now. And then notice that in existing backups, we have several different backups that we can go and mess with. So because we hadn't updated the site since November 15th, which is so shameful, that's my fault, sorry, it didn't have another plugin or a backup. So make sure that you come in here. And in settings, you can do files backup daily, and you can do data backups daily, whatever, you can do it weekly. And you can mess with all these advanced tools, but I don't really mess with that. So I just make sure that I back it up every time I do some major thing. And then this is where you can go in and clone migrate. So let's say you back it up today and tomorrow you make all these changes and it busts your website. Then click on this clone migrate, and it'll allow you to actually restore, not clone migrate. Restore is where I can restore maybe the November 15th version, and it'll go back to whatever that was, and then I can, all right, let me try it again. Let me see what I did wrong. Let me take it step by step and then go from there. So just don't forget, once you restore it, if you start changing all those things again, make another backup. So anyway, that's pretty much the troubleshooting that I do. Is I always make sure I have backups. I always use the user guides that come with the theme. Sometimes I can just play around. And if I play around with stuff, I always if I'm in a place that I don't really, I've never really messed with before, or it's kind of freaking me out a little bit, I'll write down kind of what the settings were before I messed with it, and then I'll mess with one setting each and hit refresh on the front end of the website and see what it's changing, and then make sure that I have those notes so that if I have to go back to all the previous settings, I can change all those previous settings again. So if you ever have any questions, you can email me and let me know, and I can help as much as possible. All right,